I just started asking questions. And 2 hours later, he looked at me and he said, I can't believe how much I've told you. I think you probably know more than most of my advisors about me and my business and what concerns I have. First and foremost, ask questions. Ask questions, ask questions. Get the client talking about their situation. How they get started in the business. What are the challenges that they've been dealing with? What are the key drivers to their business? What makes them special apart from their competition? What are the internal and external things that they're struggling with? Ask them who are the people in their business that would be toughest to lose and why. What keeps them up at night regarding the future of their business, etc. Well, almost everybody I've ever been around loves to talk about their business. It's their life, it's their blood, it's their legacy. So, to get them talking about it is usually a very easy thing to do. And it's just a question of you being willing to ask them the questions. You ask the questions, they're going to start talking about it. And then you're going to begin to understand where you can help and where are the places that you fit in, etc. I remember distinctly, I was in the probably second year of working the business. And so I was still a newbie, very much green, but I was able to get in the door on a very large client, potential client, I should say, who had multiple distributorships, multiple other companies. He had been a professional athlete, a guy that, I respected knew about him for years. I was in my 30s and he was in his probably in his late 50s at the time, something like that. And I remember I just started asking questions. And 2 hours later, he looked at me and he said, I can't believe how much I've told you. I mean, I think you probably know more than most of my advisors about me and my business and what concerns I have. And here I was, pretty much a rookie, but I knew to ask questions. And in doing that, I had obviously gained his respect and had an opportunity to make a difference in that man's life. Well, if you want to be a business advisor, you got to work with business owners. So you got to find a way to get to business owners. And I was fortunate that in the original training I got, they would only accept me bringing back potential clients that were business owners, privately owned family businesses. So we were forced to do that. And initially we did it I made 100 cold calls a day. We were using pension guides and manufacturing guides and so forth. And I know today that's harder and harder to do. There's certainly lots more difficulty getting through the various gatekeepers, etc. But I also looked for opportunities to speak to industries. And right off the bat, one of my earliest clients talked about industry meeting he was having. He was in the carpet business, and there was a group of about 50 of his fellow carpet installation firms that were meeting. And I just asked him if we could do a presentation to that group, and he was able to get us in. And all of a sudden, we began to get opportunities to speak to work with numerous people within that industry. So I've always seen opportunities to speak to industry groups as being a great source of business. Retention, that's all about regular contact and service. The only way that you're going to keep clients over a long period of time is that they hear from you. Out of sight, out of mind, and somebody else comes in the door and gets in ahead of you. But the problem I had in the early going was I wasn't charging enough in terms of the ongoing, call it tune-ups, to spend the time. And I was trying to build a practice and trying to pay my bills. And so I tended to be going on to the next new client and not focusing enough time on the retention of those clients. So one of the things I had to come to grips with was if I was going to do that and do it effectively, I had to charge enough for it. Fortunately, I found that for the most part, fees are what were in my head. In fact, if I charged a high enough fee, it put pressure on me to be even more aware of doing a really good job for the client. So in doing that, I had solved two things. One is I was going to continue to keep long-term clients and grow with them and their businesses, etc. And I was going to have to stay focused on doing a really good job in order to justify the fees that I was charging.